It might be just the fact that, you know, I'm living here in the 2020s, but I prefer the silliness of digitize the entire world over, well, genocide. Yeah, I'm not a fan of genocide and the fact that Noah and Gosaburo, that Noah came up with the plan and Gosaburo adopted the plan. Yeah, you can probably tell what I think of that shit. Anywho, so so close yet so far, or Kaiba family's darkness. More like Kaiba family's insanity, but that's beside the point. Alright, I'm just gonna drop the bombshell right now. Just right now, just right quick. Dub got the point. Again, because I prefer the silliness of I plan to digitize the entire world over I'm just gonna bomb everything and leave the world with only 3% of the population. Now, I did some checking, and because obviously, I wanted to focus on numbers from, when this episode came out. And roughly the world population was something like was either if I don't remember. The only two world population figures that I know are 7 and 9 billion, respectfully, heckfully, and I don't remember which one's which. So please forgive me. But I actually did some calculations. Noah's little projection of 3% of the population, that would leave us with, if it's 7 billion people, excuse me, that would leave us with a population of in the entire world 210,000. Whole planet, 210,000 people. Which means if they enacted their plan, you'd have a 97% chance of being dead. I mean, granted, either way, but and then for 9 billion, it's 270,000. Which go ahead and roll those dice. So yeah, I prefer the idea of trying to digitize the entire world, which, funny enough, Noah in the dub calls one of the most ridiculous plans he's ever heard, and yet here we are, 2 decades later, and well, not as insane as one once thought, is it? Just saying. Never mind the fact, never mind social media. Let's not even touch that, you know. Uh, but yeah. So, so yeah, there's that. So we pick up right where the last. So I'm just gonna dive right into the episode. We pick up right where Noah's final threat left off. We didn't even see Noah's life points drop to 0. Fun fact, in either version until the start of this episode. How's that for irony? But yeah, so Noah is still whining. In the dub, is whining. In the sub, he's just kind of wallowing in the fact that he lost. And of course, cliched crap is cliched. I won't accept this, and then he tries to take over Yugi's body. And then the Millennium Puzzle rejects him. I actually like this detail because it kind of goes to show off the power of the Millennium items some more, which is good, right? Because the Millennium items are supposed to be powerful. They're not supposed to be, the only source of magic in the entire world, and magic was not supposed to start in ancient Egypt or any of that. No, 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 no. Oh, obviously not. Which is funny because that's actually kind of the point of the Dome arc when you really sit back and think about it. neither was, ancient Egypt was neither the wasn't actually the origin point of Duel Monsters, which, by the way, is what the show has been positing, not overall magic. It's just that the only magic we've seen in the entire show so far has been the Millennium items, which is why people got that misconception. It's still a fail on 4Kids' part. It's just I think people exaggerate how much of a error on 4Kids' part it is. Because let's face it, it's also an error in the original too. Because we won't get an actual full-on explanation of where Duel Monsters in general come from until Zexal. Show 4. Yeah, we've got what did the wiki say? Like 180 episodes. We've still got like 100 and like 10 episodes. No, sorry. We've still got like 104. No, sorry, 105 episodes to go. Oh, before we, before we're done with this show, then we've got 180 episodes of GX to go through. Remember, only 150 something were dubbed. So yeah, that shows you that shows you that I am covering all of GX. And then it's like 100. I think it's like 155 episodes of 5Ds, which was only 120 something dubbed. Future Alex will put the numbers up on screen. And then we'll get into Zexal, which is I forget how many episodes. I want to say it was like 150 or something like that. Again, Future Alex will look up all those things and we'll put the numbers up on screen. Uh, but yeah, no. So yeah, so again, we've got hundreds of episodes to go before we're even remotely going to discuss the origin point and find out that Duel Monsters came from aliens. Insert the some call me Johnny clip from his Shadow the Hedgehog review, where he just drops the controller, walks away because it's like, yeah.
But before you could potentially get the idea to just ask Rouge or anybody else for that matter, aliens.
Ugh. I prefer the supernatural to, aliens. But then again, this is me, and well, have you seen my review of Final Fantasy IV: The After Years? Now, obviously, After Years does it worse, but I'm kind of sick of Japanese fiction doing that. Oh yeah, the supernatural stuff was just aliens the whole time. Actually, what's funny is Doctor Who is actually more guilty of that than Japanese fiction is, but still, I like imagine if Death Notes were alien, just to name one example off the top of my head. That'd be pretty fucking stupid. But anyways. But yeah, so the Millennium Puzzle rejects Noah. Noah, Tem is able to see where everybody is cool. So this is when both Tristan and Honda demand his real body back, and everybody's demanding, take us to the real world. And this is where I get interrupted by a notification on my phone. Sorry, I got distracted by that. Words. Mm. Okay. So, uh, so yeah, Noah explains that everything in his world is virtual, right? Because of course it is, right? The oh, what was it? Whatchamacallit? The everything here is virtual, so that's why they can feel pain and yada yada yada, because their brains have been basically put into the virtual world kind of thing, right? I think in the sub they say that it was like recreated, but I prefer the upload idea because I don't know, the whole recreation thing has always been a bit dubious to me. Oh yeah, this is totally because again that makes more sense with elements that are that even are pontificated at the end of this episode, right? So there's that. And then the dub has the worst commercial break in the entirety of its run. Now, they could have extended this, because remember, they've been known to change the length of episodes before. Yeah, this is when Gosaburo shows up and reveals that yes, I have been in the incredibly obvious true villain of this arc the entire time. So, here's the fail. In both versions, when Gosaburo shows up just before his face reveal, you know, Kaiba's like, it can't, that voice, it can't be. It be, and Noah's like, it literally declares that it's his father. And before the full face reveal, that's when the dub cuts to its first commercial break. Because for those not in the know, the dub actually has different breakings for commercials uh, because North America has more commercial breaks in a half an hour slot than Japan does. Japan, it's usually, I think it's usually with a lot of series, it's usually you break right after the usually it's one of two things. You either break at the right after the intro, right after the opening titles. Then there's a halfway point, and then that, and that's it. Or there's just a one break in between, right in the middle. Hence why most animes will have an interlude of some kind. In DM's case, it's the spinning Millennium Puzzle with that ridiculous tune. But in the dub, they obviously have to chop it up more. So they'll usually have one at about the 5 minute mark. Then they'll have the one at the halfway point of the episode, and then there's like one more just before the end of the episode, and then the episode carries on to the end. And there's usually like three in each episode. Well, the first one just sucks because again it's like you've announced who it is, why hold off on visually revealing it? Like a much more effective cut to commercial would be, you have failed me for the last time, Noah, give me another chance. Too late for that. Ghostboro's face shows up. You've been behind this the whole time. That's right, Sato. Sato, and or something, right? Like, like I don't know. Maybe they just ran out of time. I feel like you could have chopped down a couple of the shots, right? Like for example, when Noah's trying to get in, you can kind of either speed up the footage or skip a couple of things, because not every frame of Noah's takeover is necessary. Let's be real. But that's beside the point. A lot more superfluous dialogue in the dub in this episode. I'll go ahead and say that. So then Gosaburo shows up. Up. Both Seto and Kaiba. Well, okay. Kaiba is it's just sasses him like you suck, you failed, blah 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 blah. Right. In the sub, it's let's hear your silly plan, which is funny, because the plan is actually silly in the dub, not in the sub. Which is just that whole like, wow, this you really did not, like, seriously. Some of the dialogue in the sub would work better in the dub, and some of the stuff in the dub would actually work better in the sub, and that's weird to say, right? Kaiba's sass would work better coming out of Seto's mouth, and Seto's "tell us your silly plan, Gosaburo" would fit better with Kaiba because of the fact that his plan is silly in the dub, or at least the explanation is sillier in the dub. Because now the plan is still the same. It is mostly the same, take over the world and whatnot, but the execution of the plan is actually different. In the dub, he plans to digitize the entire world, which we'll talk about how silly that is in a minute. So Gosaburo's plan in the sub, genocide, just straight up genocide of the entire planet. You know those statistics I gave you earlier, that 3%? Yeah, that's what Gosaburo intends to do. He intends to use a satellite that apparently he needs to hack into instead of it just being a Kaiba Corp satellite. Right? I mean, granted, you could argue, oh, oh, um, you could say, well, of course he would have to hack into a defense satellite, but again, it's like Kaiba Corp has constantly been selling weapons to the military for probably in the decades range at this point. I can believe that one of the satellites that they sold insert the certain country that he mentions. They don't name names. They just say, this was made for a certain country, and it's like, I mean, I don't know if that was the Gallup writers mocking the U.S. or if they meant a different country, but yeah, obviously they don't want to name a country because that could be seen as kind of bad, you know. But I guess, but I don't know. Then again, other shows kind of depict different countries and whatnot, but whatever. Point is that Gozaburo is just intending to kill a bunch of people. Yay. Um. Oh, one note I forgot about was apparently in the sub, Noah didn't know that Gozaburo was alive. And I basically just wrote out that makes no sense. Now, the more I think about that, the more I'm like, actually, that might just be me projecting. Now, you might be like, hmm? And what do you mean? Well, the, because, again, the whole idea is supposed to be in the sub is supposed to be I prove to be a better than you at running Kaiba Corp, between Noah and Seto. But oh, hang on. Sorry about that. Interruptions. Where was I? Right. The whole thing is supposed to be a prove of the superiority between Noah and Seto. So it actually isn't that out of bounds that he wouldn't know that he's alive, but it's like, how would Gosaburo hide himself for that long? Especially considering Noah is supposed to be, supposed to have access to everything. Now, to be fair, we actually seen hints of this being possible with the fact that he has to actually physically look over to his screens to see, for example, Johnson cheating, but that's beside the point. Ain't I would argue. Oh, but yeah, no. To get back to the digitizing the world thing, I prefer the digitizing the entire world because to me that just makes more sense. I've seen Tron. I've seen Tron. I grew up on sorry, on Digimon. I know how this works, right? And then in the sub, he's basically telling, he's basically has locked out the real world. So, yeah, Noah Seto, you're gonna stay here and live out your days. It's like heaven. And my note just just sums it up in three simple words: more like hell. Because yeah, as we established, there's a fakeness to it. That's why the Big Five were so desperate to get out. So then we have a tangent. So then after Noah starts going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, we get a brief tangent to Merrick smashing up the robots. There's literally only one purpose Merrick's presence is going to serve in the next episode, and it's a shit one. He's literally just going to give up his search. Spoilers, he's going to give up his search during the next two-parter. He's literally just going to go to this one place, damage it. More on that later. More on that next time. And then he's going to go sit on the blimp. Or on the blimp. It's currently still a blimp. He's going to go sit on the airship. Well, that was certainly a thing. Again, why the hell were the Ishtars not a part of this? That just would have worked so much better. And really, all Merrick wandering around is going to add to the next episode is a ticking clock, which is pointless because we know where this is going. This is a filler arc. We know where this is going. Come on. You didn't need the ticking clock. It's fake drama. It's the ship shaking in Star Trek Voyager all over again. Ugh. Anyways, moving on. Uh, I don't really have much else to say. Yugi is naive as hell. Doesn't believe that Noah is that Noah's up to anything. Even though both Atem and Kaiba, both Kaiba and Seto agree with Atem. Yeah, Noah's still is still up to something. I mean, literally both of them literally say, it literally basically say, yeah, that goes without saying, you know. Oh, Seto even is like like kind of almost insulted. Like, really? That's what you're asking me? You have a question for me, and that's your question? This Jin Yugi? What? Like, really, dude? Come on. Uh, it's obvious he's still up to something. It's Noah. Duh. Right? And then, so, yeah. And then the clip show starts. So they're trapped in their memories. And only in the sub, only Seto seems to realize it. Whereas in the dub, both Yugi and Seto managed to pick up on it, right? Actually, so does Taya. Now that I'm thinking about it, like Taya gets this weird feeling of like, wait, I'm getting a deja vu sense, and then Yugi has the sense of, wait, didn't this duel already happen? Because we flash back to the Osiris duel, and of course Seto is just like, what the fuck's going on, you know? And then Joey has to kind of slowly kind of realize that it's all fake. Now, I'm gonna cut Joey and Jinochi both some slack because his is the most of a fantasy scenario. Now, what I mean by that is that he basically dreams that Mai is fine, and that Mai is, well, not to put too fine of a point on it, wanting him. and then his memories kind of interject into that and kind of make him face reality, which I actually like. His subconscious basically takes over and is like, no, no, come on now. It's almost as if the character's subconscious is like trying to bat away the stupidity of the script or something, right? Ugh. Like this is as silly. This is as silly as a character played by the director of Star Trek Five coming in and saying, "Damn it, Bones, Bones, you know you can't and take away pain with the wave of a magic wand." To quote SF Debris, exactly, which makes me wonder why you put it in the script. You know, uh. So Mokuba is trying to give it is so while all that's going on, Mokuba is trying to give Noah the benefit of the doubt, and then Noah proves that he's a fucking dick because at the end of the episode, Noah takes over Mokuba's body. I'm gonna have to pay attention to both versions to see if the sudden redemption right at the end is going to amount to anything because spoilers, Noah is not surviving the next two-parter. He's not. That's not where we're going with this. That was never where we were going with this. Which, funny enough, you could make his dialogue and his scenes anime exclusive, but I suppose they would clash. Even though, actually, a spirit deck against the Orichalcos would be interesting, and it would kind of also kind of you would have to kind of answer the question: does this unit have a soul, kind of thing? Which actually could be an interesting thing to explore. Is it actually his spirit? Well, that's what the dub would posit. Or is it droid effect, which is what the sub would posit, right? That could have been an interesting thing. Certainly better than my sucking the cock of a cult leader. But that's beside the point. But that's beside the point. That's all I got. That's literally all I got. This was an interesting episode to talk about, but at the same time, I had more to talk about with the whole digitizing the whole world thing more than anything. Which is funny because I didn't even have that much to talk about with that either. So shrug. The end, I suppose. This is not. this is kind of a. This is kind of a below average episode, if I'm honest. So actually, and I forgot to give a grade. Whoops. And I even set up for the next episode too. Sorry, give me a second. We will say that this is a D grade episode. Because it's not one that I'm going to be flocking back to, but it's also not one that I probably would, reject outright. But this is definitely one of those, like this could have been better, but it also could have been a fuck of a lot worse. Next week. Next week is the finale of the virtual world arc. And we will have finally reached the duel that, no joke, I have been foreshadowing. I shouldn't say foreshadowing, but I have been basically spoiling that that's my favorite duel in this entire thing. So if you've been wondering oh, uh, why the hell you've had Exodia Necros here and Blue Eyes over here with me in the middle and Kaiba Core Tower behind me, and that's the thumbnail for the virtual world arc. Well, that was my not so subtle way of telling you that my favorite duel is next week. Because next week we will be covering Burying the Past, which will the names of the Japanese names of the episodes are Exodia Necros and Escape. Kind of on the nose titling, but regardless, but regardless, we're down to the we're finally almost ready to start the Alcatraz Tower stuff. I'm actually kind of excited for it. Regardless, heardless though, that's it for me this time. So, not much else for me to say except Blue Wolf Alex the Lore Walker signing out. Have a good one. See you next time for the conclusion of the Virtual World arc, also known as the Arc of Dumb, as we'll talk about next week. Blue Wolf Alex the Lore Walker signing out. Have a good one. Duel standby.